Okay, it looks like we're live. Welcome to ELC Weekly Online. I'm Jennifer. I'm the office manager here at English. Tonight we're going to talk about what we've done with technology at church because we hit the ball rolling or hit the ground running. I don't know, whatever kind of thing you want to use there. So I'm here with Arthur Karbowski tonight. Arthur is our coordinator of worship technology here at English Lutheran. Was hired last summer after we figured out we weren't going to get back to church in person. So just want to let you guys know you can feel free to put questions, comments in the chat. This is going live on YouTube and Facebook. We can see those comments here pop up. So if you have a question or a comment that you would like to say anything, put that in the chat and we'll try to get to it later in the broadcast here. So welcome, Arthur. Thanks for being here with me tonight. I appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time on a Wednesday to be with us here. So being in the tech booth.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Being in the tech booth, and I think you've been a member here for 10 years, maybe? Is that it?
I don't think quite that long. At least five years.
Okay, so you were pretty familiar with what we were doing. You're a member of the congregation before we hit COVID and shut down, so you were pretty familiar with how we do things here at English in the tech booth. So let's talk about before COVID. Yep. What was the tech booth like before COVID?
Well, we had a computer for PowerPoint slideshows, and then later we started using a different software for slideshows called Media Shout. And then we had a soundboard for the microphones and the piano. And that was about it. Long time ago, we had an analog soundboard, and we recently got that replaced with a digital soundboard.
Yeah, that was a good change over there. So when COVID did hit last year, we were shutting down and, they said 2 weeks at home and then it turned into a month, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. So back in March when we did shut down, we actually only missed just 1 week of worship in our own sanctuary. And actually, we didn't miss worship at all because we were able to go down to Our Saviors and participate. They already had live stream set up down there. And Pastor Joanne Richmond was so kind and gracious to welcome us down there to participate in their worship services. So when March hit last year, I know that was before you were hired, but can you tell us a little bit about what happened and how we got that set up and who came in to help in March?
Yep. So I don't think I got hired until May or June. If I remember right, Mark Solis asked me in like April to sit on a committee for purchasing the cameras as a volunteer. And at that time, Rob Ramzier was volunteering his equipment to broadcast. So he did broadcast all the way until we got our cameras. I think we got them in July, like the end of July. Maybe even in August.
It seems so long ago now, doesn't it?
A few months. Yeah. I can't remember the exact dates, but Rob Ramzier was here for a long time, volunteering his equipment to broadcast worship services. Then I worked with the committee to pick out cameras and a broadcast system. And I think some people on the committee knew more than others, but most of us didn't know a whole lot about broadcast cameras and mixers and streaming setups. So we went with what seemed like the best option through SimSound in Winona. And as much of the world was at that time, everything was on back order for a few months, especially things to do with video and sound because everyone was at home, working from home. So it took from, I want to say sometime in April, we ordered them, April or May, and then at the end of July, they got installed, if I remember right.
I think that's kind of what I'm remembering now. It just seems like so long ago that it's hard to actually remember when all that stuff happened. So, and then SimSound, when they came in, they did some training with you guys. I know they did some videos and stuff like that. So they were really actually pretty awesome to work with, weren't they?
Yep. They're pretty responsive as well. I've emailed their texts with questions like early on a Sunday morning and got a response. So,
Oh,
um,
wow.
yep, they're good to work with.
Good deal. So, and then that equipment was available to us because, there was a desperate need. I mean, we were shut down. We had no idea how we were going to get church to people. And so just want to let everybody know that's watching that, just a huge thank you to those who donated to that cause. We had 8 total donors, 3 of which were very large gifts. And so those 8 donors, we were able to call them and say, hey, we have this immediate need. This is a crazy thing. We don't want to do with this quickly, but they all came together and we raised over $35,000, just over $35,000 for the video equipment and um, the installation, the training, everything was included in that. And I think we even still had a little bit of extra money left over to buy some miscellaneous, headphones and things like that were coming through. So, just want to touch base on that none of that would have been possible without the generosity of some of our church members, and gifts large or small. We had people that gave a couple $1,000s to, $25 here and there. Every dollar makes a difference when you're buying equipment like that, or even doing anything within the church. It doesn't matter the size of the gift, it's the generosity that comes behind it. So want to thank our members for that, because none of this would have ever been possible without any of you guys. So I heard from a little birdie that you kind of want to show us a little bit of the tech booth and kind of explain what you guys actually do on a Sunday morning. So if you want to take the ropes on that and let us know what you do when you get here. When you walk in the door, you got to turn the computer on, turn all the stuff on. Show us what you do on a Sunday morning.
Yep. Okay. So I didn't turn the computer on because I assume most people know what turning a computer on looks like. But so we have our soundboard, which looks the same as it did all along. The only difference on the soundboard now is that we actually have 2 outputs. So before we had our main sound slider, now we also have these 2 that are going to the internet. And when I have to control with that, when that's on, then I can tell what sound is on going to the internet. So that's the main difference with the soundboard. Everything else on the soundboard is the same. But we also have these video mixers and controllers for all of our cameras that are out in the sanctuary.
Wow.
They're pretty small, so you can't see them, but there is one right above us, and there's one in the back with a confidence monitor. And it's actually fairly simple to control. Ernest Morris has been in volunteering with me for the past couple of months, and if you like the shots of like the roof of the sanctuary, and I feel like he has a pretty good sense of like artistic shots. So that's Ernest running the cameras, and I usually stick with the soundboard. But anyways, so
Great.
it's whatever one is green is the one that's going to be. If I hit cut or fade, it'll switch between the green and the red, and the one that's red is the one that's live, and that's pretty much about it.
Wow.
We can set up some
It
presets.
looks a little complicated right there. Like you kind of look like you're in the cockpit of an airplane or a spaceship or something there, but it's really not as complicated as it looks, is it?
No, it's not. It's if you lose track of what you're doing and you get a little panicky, you can accidentally like hit a few wrong buttons in a row and really get mixed up. But if you just kind of keep in your head, and Ernest has made this really nice cheat sheet here that tells us all of our shots. So
Oh,
we can set up
nice.
presets for all the cameras. So let's see, I got camera 4 live right now, and camera 4 is the one that I'm interacting with. So I can zoom and steer around manually like this, but usually you don't want to do that live. So I also have presets. And Ernest has made us a nice list of what each number is for each camera, and we just sit here with those lists, and that way it keeps us from going into that panic mode. And then the
Okay.
other thing
So,
that
like,
we
is
and
it
you
more
won't
when you're
see
talking
any.
about that? Sorry, when you're talking about that list there with the presets. So, when Pastor Becky is coming out to do communion in front of the altar, then you hit button A. Or if you're going to
Yep,
cut to a shot of
exactly.
Trevor on the piano or the organ, then you hit button B. Like it's all spelled out for you there.
Yep,
That's
yep.
cool.
So like if I wanna do Trevor on the piano, there.
Oh, wow. That's really neat to see that. I've
So
actually never seen this in
yep.
action this whole time.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's you can do it very simply with just a few things to get through a service, which is what we've mostly been doing. Um, and there's some more complex stuff where you can start to adjust the picture of the cameras like you would any like DSLR. One thing that we knew how to do it all along. It just occurred to us that we could do it. Is we can do a picture in picture. The computer's not
Oh,
on, so
cool.
right now it's just a black screen. But when the slideshow's running, the people on YouTube can see. So what we've been using it for is like the Apostles' Creed or the Lord's Prayer, where there's a congregational response. We'll have that up on the screen. So we just kind of it just occurred to us that we could start doing that a couple of weeks ago. When we had people come back in, we started to think about how do we have interaction on both in person and on the internet. So
Yeah, and kind of tie those two together. So we're still together even though
yep,
we're apart. Somebody's at home or, maybe even across the country on vacation. They can still tune into worship at their home church. And, I think live stream is here to
exactly.
stay, even when we're back full steam ahead here. So, and that's really cool about the
Yep,
picture in picture part. I haven't actually watched the last couple of worship services. I'm a member at Good Shepherd and then work here. So I don't always see what's going on here on Sundays. But that might save me a little work on the bulletin there. I'm thinking that maybe I don't have to make that big long bulletin for the people who are watching online if we can do the picture in picture part. So that might be kind of exciting for me.
yeah, we can. We don't put all the slides up in that. Only the ones that have a response. So,
Mhm.
but we can certainly talk about that.
Yeah, we could. That's good. We'll keep that one on the table for next week, maybe. So, you showed us a little bit of the booth and how things work. As we're opening up, you kind of been taking this on during COVID because we were trying to cut down on the number of people that were here on a Sunday for worship when things were bad, just to be able to, not expose anybody that didn't have to be exposed. And you were so gracious to be here every single Sunday almost. And Ernest coming in now the last couple month or two, I think it's been 3 months. So we're going to need more volunteers for the tech booth as we start to open things up further and further. Hopefully getting more people in the doors. So if somebody wanted to volunteer in the tech booth, what do they need to come with? Do they need to have any experience, any knowledge? What's a good background for a person coming into the tech booth?
Um, Anyone who's willing to learn and just focus on the service and just kind of watch the flow of the services um, could pick this up. Um, Obviously, if you're more technologically inclined, you're probably going to enjoy it more. Um, but as far as the ability to do it, really just being able to watch the flow of service and have an understanding of which cameras are which and when should I be on that camera. Um, so it's not overly complicated.
It doesn't sound
I've
like
done
it.
it.
Like,
I have done the sound, the cameras, and the slides by myself a couple of times. And I do make a couple of mistakes when I do that, but it is possible to do all three at once. It's just not It's not the desirable state.
Yeah, and I'm sure as we start to open back up, we had a good tech team before with Dave Ponnell, Ernie that you mentioned. Jeff Baggett was there. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. I'm sorry if I'm leaving anybody out. I'm going to apologize now because it's been so long. I can't remember who was on the tech team to begin with. Um, but they're always.
Robert.
Oh, Robert Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah, Beth Flatten.
Oh yes, Beth was here a lot too. I remember that. You have a way better memory than I do, Arthur. so,
I can't remember. I feel so. Probably the best person to contact if you're interested would be Trevor. You could also contact me. Um, I will be June 6th will be my last day of coordinating this, and Chris Flatten will be taking over my role for the summer. So he would be another person to contact. But Trevor Dupay is our supervisor, so he would be the main contact. Or if you're here for service on Sunday and or Saturday evening, just come over to the booth and talk to me, and we can work something out.
Yeah, and even if you're not sure, you think that you're not technologically inclined, and or not sure if you could do this or whatever, I'm sure you'd be happy to have them shadow for a week or two, just to sit and see how it all works before they make a commitment. And yeah, so
absolutely.
Trevor's information, we should probably put that out there. If you want to contact him, his email is trevor@englishlutheran.org. And then he's, oh gosh, what extension is he? He's extension 303 at the church. If you call 784-9335, extension 303 is his, and that rings right to his desk. So I don't know. That's about all I have. I have one last question, actually. Technology, it has just changed so much even since, we were kids. We kind of grew up on that cusp of, still coming home when the lights came on outside, to being the first generation to hold cell phones, things like that. And technology has just made leaps and bounds, especially in the last, 5 to 10 years. So, this is newer to us, even though there have been some other churches that have done really well with technology across the globe, and even here in La Crosse. But it's kind of new for us here at English to start doing this kind of stuff. So do you have any thoughts on what the future holds, especially with churches and technology, and what we can do with this, coming up in the future?
Yeah, and actually I think this specific thing that we're doing here is new to everybody because it's only been probably the past year or two that broadcast video equipment has come down in price enough for private people, and streaming, online streaming didn't exist. I don't know when YouTube started allowing that, but it's only been a couple of years. So this is very new technology. Um, and with all new technology, there's going to be, probably a few years to a few decades of, figuring out how it will work. I mean, think to the beginnings of photography. It was used for science and experiments, and then some photographers tried to imitate oil painting with it in the early 20th century, and that fell to pieces. And then they did only black and white for how long, and then the first color photographers were revolutionary, and now you have digital photography with, and people, in my opinion, misusing digital rendering of digital photography. So I think it'll stick around, but I think it'll look different in 10 years than it does right now. But it absolutely, like you said at the beginning, Jennifer, people who winter in Arizona or Florida can continue to come to service. People who have to be home for some reason can continue to come to service. People who move away, they can check in once in a while and watch a service on YouTube or whatever service online service we're using in 10 years or so. Yeah, absolutely. I
Mhm.
think this will, and the the last year, our learning curve on it, um, it has become so second nature to us to have it up here and just running that to me, it would be on the Saturday evenings when I'm not running the broadcast at the same time. It feels weird to just be
I bet
to
it
just be doing
does.
sound and slides.
And it's just, you think about, over the last year, whatever, all these, a lot of our older folks have been learning how to FaceTime and Zoom, and this is all new to them too. So I see huge leaps and bounds coming in with our shut-in population and nursing home residents and stuff in the coming years, as they get more comfortable with technology and the older they get, that it becomes a little more second nature to them so that they can be in those places and pull up their iPad and they can FaceTime their grandkids after they watch online church, and it'll just be normal to them to do that. And I think that's really something special that's come out of this, is being able to reach out to those people and figure out ways to still keep that connection with our older generation and kind of get them into the technology and teaching of that. So I think that's pretty cool. So, well, I think that
Absolutely.
about wraps it up for tonight. Arthur, we're very thankful for you to be here and join us tonight. So let's just end with a quick prayer. God, we thank you for the skills and knowledge that you give to Arthur and Chris this summer and all of the team in the tech booth, those who have been with us for years and maybe those new volunteers to come as well. Thank you for the gift of technology. Let us redeem it for the glory of God, your good, and the good of others. Let us use it discerningly, knowing that it's not a solution to every problem, but a vehicle to share the gospel. And all God's people said, amen. Well, thank you again, Arthur. And everybody that's tuning in here tonight. Nobody had any questions or comments, but if you do think of something after, if you're watching this later at home or anything, please feel free to get in touch with any of us, Arthur, Trevor, even myself. I don't know how much help I'll be, but I'll get you to the right people. I'm not so technologically inclined anymore myself. So, and then I think next week, we're going to push the time back just a little bit. We had a little bit of a conflict with the people that we wanted to have here next week. So next Wednesday at 7:30, Nikki will be back and she'll have Kristen on, our new director of youth and family. I guess she's not so new anymore. I think she was hired in October, but and they're going to talk about the youth steering committee, what the high school and middle school youth have been up to, confirmation and things like that. So be sure to tune in for that or look for a link to watch later on. So thanks to everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you in church. Thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you, Arthur.